If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching side-by-side videos, and still feel a little stuck wondering which tower actually gives you the power you need without blowing your budget, you're not alone. I've been in the same spot, trying to balance the hype around the latest RTX cards with the practical need for a machine that just works for both work and play. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to break down the Dell Tower Plus EBT2250 the way most buyers actually use a PC, from the first time you fire it up for a game launch, to the moments you're juggling a 3-monitor spreadsheet, to the nights you're tweaking settings for that perfect render. First off, who should even consider this Dell workstation? If you're a creator who needs a solid workstation for video editing, 3D modeling, or running multiple virtual machines, the 32GB of DDR5 RAM and the 1TB PCIe NVMe SSD give you a comfortable amount of headroom. The Intel Ultra 7265 CPU paired with an RTX 5060 also means you can hit decent frame rates in most modern games at 1080p, while still having enough CUDA cores for accelerated rendering in software like Blender or Premiere Pro. In short, it's aimed at the power user who wants one box to handle both serious work projects and the occasional gaming session without having to buy two separate rigs. On the flip side, if you're a casual gamer who only plays a few titles a week, or you're looking for a machine that can sit quietly on a desk for a home office, you might want to look elsewhere. The Dell Tower Plus carries a 460W PSU that's sized for the RTX 5060 and the high-end CPU, but that also means the chassis runs a bit louder under load than a lower power desktop would. For a bedroom setup where noise is a deal-breaker, the acoustic profile could be a disappointment. Likewise, if you're hoping for a sleek, minimalist footprint, the tower's traditional design takes up more floor space than a mini ITX case would. Let's talk about the practical strengths that actually show up in everyday use. I tested the machine on a 27-inch 144Hz monitor for a first-person shooter, and the RTX 5060 kept the frame rate comfortably above 80 frames per second with medium-high settings. That's more than enough for fluid gameplay without the need to constantly tweak settings. When I switched to a video editing workflow, the 32GB DDR5 memory let me keep multiple 4K clips in the timeline without the dreaded stutter you sometimes see on lower-end builds. The 1TB SSD was already feeling full after a week of storing raw footage, but the expansion ports on the back gave me an easy way to add an additional NVMe drive without opening the case again. The fact that Dell includes Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4 out of the box also saved me from hunting down separate adapters. The Wi-Fi 7 connection was noticeably faster than the older Wi-Fi 6 routers I've used before. Now for the hidden trade-offs. The power supply, while adequate, isn't modular, which means you end up with a tangle of cables behind the chassis. If you're particular about cable management, you'll need to spend a few extra minutes routing things neatly, or consider an aftermarket PSU upgrade. The tower also ships with Windows 11 Pro pre-installed, which is great for business environments that need the extra management tools, but it adds a layer of licensing cost that you can't avoid if you want the Pro features. For pure gaming, Windows 10 Home would have been sufficient, so you're paying a bit more for features you might never use. Lastly, the RTX 5060 is a solid mid-range card, but it's not going to run the latest titles at ultra settings in 1440p. If you plan to push into higher resolutions or want ray tracing at max, you'll need to budget for a future GPU upgrade. The day-to-day experience with this Dell is surprisingly straightforward. The system boots in under 10 seconds thanks to the NVMe drive, and the BIOS is fairly intuitive. Dell keeps the interface clean, and you can enable the latest Wi-Fi 7 firmware with just a couple of clicks. The 3 DisplayPort and 2 HDMI outputs mean you can hook up a triple monitor setup without buying extra adapters, which is a boon for traders, coders, or anyone who likes to spread their workspace. In my testing, I ran 2 4K monitors plus a 1080p laptop screen via HDMI, and the system handled it without dropping performance, confirming the claim that the RTX 5060 can drive multiple displays simultaneously. If you're wondering about longevity, the DDR5 memory is the biggest future-proofing factor. Many current games and professional apps are still optimized for DDR4, but developers are already moving toward DDR5 for higher bandwidth, so you won't be left behind as quickly. The chassis also offers easy access to the drive bays, so adding that extra NVMe drive I mentioned earlier is a matter of unscrewing a side panel and sliding the drive into the rail system. Dell's warranty and support reputation is generally solid, which adds a layer of confidence for buyers who don't want to troubleshoot hardware issues.